Grand evening, everyone. It is Sunday, January 25th, 2025. It is 1800 hours and 50 minutes in the evening, Central Standard Time. And we have quite a few new developments recently, especially when it comes to those riots. The price of gold and silver, the Iran situation, and the nuclear forces, not as much this time, especially the price of gold. The price of gold has now reached $5,000, that apocalyptic number that has been talked about for years. It has always been said that people do not even want to be around when the price of gold reaches $5,000 per ounce. So let's get right into the recent news. Let's start with this here, even on the bottom. I may have covered this specific part last time. Greenland's prime minister has told its residents to prepare for a possible invasion by the US and they should be on high alert. So, Greenland has told its residents to prepare for a possible US invasion. That is very interesting, highly unlikely, um, because right now, especially after President Trump went to Davos, he made an agreement with a lot of the Europeans, and there may be some kind of old defense pact, some kind of defense pact agreement from around 1951 that may be renegotiated. So the U.S. could deploy and station troops in and around Greenland, and President Trump can do whatever he wants when it comes to Greenland and the military situation there in and around Greenland. Another thing President Trump did, is one of the best things he has done, is he officially pulled the United States out of the World Health Organization that was effective on the 22nd, some days ago. So the WHO has no real grip, no real hold and control over the US as it did before. The WHO was about to take over the US through their power and the agreements. They have a lot of international power, the WHO. So if there's some kind of pandemic, anything like that in the future, the WHO won't have full power over the US anymore. Also, from that same day, in Polymarket, Trump has suggested invoking NATO Article 5 to make other countries patrol the U.S. southern border from invaders, freeing up Border Patrol agents for other tasks like deportation, sending the ICE agents around and doing other work on the home front and probably on the coastlines. Very interesting that Trump is considering invoking NATO Article 5 for the border situation. That's how much of an invasion it has become. Then we have this here. Once again, before I even continue, this is initially a live stream recording that is posted to the live section of my YouTube channel. So, some people in England are pleading with President Trump to turn their country into a U.S. state as a desperate escape from Keir Starmer's extreme left-wing government. He's probably a lot like a communist. He's a terrible prime minister. He's done a lot of bad things for England so far. He's one of the worst prime ministers England has had in a very long time, if at all. So here's a video related to that in England.
All these lads are sticking up for this country. If there were a war in this country, we'd be the first one there. So all I'm saying is, Mr. Donald Trump, please intervene.
What would you want Trump to do?
I want him to buy England like he wanted to buy Canada and make us a state that we're proud of.
You want to be part of the United States?
Yes. All these lads are sticking up for this.
So, yeah, I'll play that one more time.
All these lads are sticking up for this country. If there were a war in this country, we'd be the first one there. So all I'm saying is, Mr. Donald Trump, please intervene.
What would you want Trump to do?
I want him to buy England like he wanted to buy Canada and make us a state that we're proud of.
You want to be part of the United States?
Yes. All these lads are sticking up for this country. If there were...
So, especially this person wants the UK to become a US state or territory. It's really that they want to become a US state. That would be great as well for the US. So it would be Canada, Greenland, Mexico, and even the UK as states. And let's not forget about Venezuela. That's a big one, especially with all that oil. Speaking of Venezuela, the drilling will soon begin for the oil there, as once again they have the largest oil reserves in the entire world in Venezuela. Let's see here. So we have this massive winter storm that is going around, and it may be a result of weather manipulation that could even be weaponized at times. They do this with hurricanes. It's been proven time and again. Something called HAARP, HAARP. And they manipulate and modify atmospheric conditions. And there's all sorts of patents that have come out in the last over 20 years where they have just about perfected it by now. In the last 20 years, they could control the direction of hurricanes. They do that just about every time. The most serious hurricanes and largest are usually the result of weather modification and the control of them They control them and direct them to go in certain directions. It's very interesting, very advanced, very dangerous to do. So, as you could see here, another result of this very likely modified winter storm is in parts of Canada, such as in Ontario, the temperature dropped to negative 58 degrees Fahrenheit. It became one of the coldest places on the planet, likely only rivaling the Arctic. A couple of days ago, the price of silver reached over $100 for the first time in history. So it has gone to over that now. It is over $100 an ounce for the first time in history, modern history. And in other news, we have the Department of War. They have confirmed the existence of directed energy weapons with plans to scale. That's also from Polymarket. So that's from Polymarket and the Department of War. Directed energy weapons, that's like laser weaponry. Um, that's a very simple way to put it. Laser weaponry, and potentially plasma. So they use laser and plasma weapons, and they use them as directed energy weapons. They could put them in some kind of rifles, artillery, other cannons. That's what they mean by scaling it. They're going to scale it even larger. Also, due to this potentially modified winter storm, this is from Newswire here at the bottom. MISO, I'm not sure what that is. They declared a level 2 emergency on the central US grid. So even parts of Texas such as Dallas, I believe went down to negative 10 degrees, all the way down to that potentially. Highly unusual. It almost certainly does not ever happen naturally for a place like Dallas to get that cold. We've had that. Vehicles even exploding due to the pressure and the cold from this winter storm, and the trees as well exploding like they were shot at by rifle rounds. So the sap in the trees and the cold and the pressure combined made even trees explode. So that was really the most obvious sign that this is a heavily manipulated winter storm. Um, this video here, it's been all over the mainstream news. There was a shooting in Minneapolis. Some border patrol agents, I'm sure many who may watch this at some point and or now have heard of this. There was a man, he approached the border patrol agents. They put him on the ground, disarmed him. He was a legal firearm owner, and he was permitted to carry a handgun as he was. So they disarmed him. I believe it was when he was getting up that they shot him, and it has massively escalated the riots and protests all throughout the country. There are riots and protests in Minneapolis still, and that's where it is the worst. It has escalated into like an army of rioters and protesters there. The National Guard has been deployed to Minneapolis. The FBI, the DEA, the ATF, they are also being deployed there. So they're trying to even out the numbers more by doing that. It has gotten very serious, especially in Minneapolis, though there are other riots and protests in New York City, LA, and even Portland now, Portland, Oregon. So it has much further intensified. It has gotten to borderline civil war levels. It could escalate into that because they've gotten more violent as hours have even gone by. They've gotten more violent. As you can see here, right after that, several left wing protesters have even reportedly, they've been reportedly linked to Antifa. They have officially declared a civil war against the U.S. government. So Antifa has declared a civil war against the U.S. government. It's just a matter of if more people join them and take part in those same actions, which would make it more widespread and very real, very solid, and it would turn into a full blown civil war. Also, a couple of rioters in Minneapolis, at least, they bit off the finger of a Border Patrol agent over there. They have pictures and places where they have evidence that that happened. It's absolutely insane. And speaking of that, very similar. In other news, the price of gold has reached the apocalyptic number of $5,000 per ounce for the first time in history. This has been talked about for years. Most people did not want to be around when that happened. It's such a measure and known thing of chaos and anarchy when the price of gold reaches $5,000 per ounce as it has. And it is even further above that now, as you can see here. $5,043 and staying stable. It's going about sideways. Though it did go to, as you can see there, $5,052 per ounce. That was the high for today so far. The price of silver is $106 per ounce. So we had the price of silver over $100 per ounce. The price of gold is over $5,000 per ounce and rising. They're both rising. So keep on preparing, especially for this winter storm. I personally recommend with this winter storm, especially to those who could afford it, full wool gear, wool jacket, maybe some kind of gloves that might be made of wool, wool shirts. If they make wool shirts, I'm not too sure. Uh, just full wool gear. I know they make wool blankets, Well, blankets are great. I do have one of those personally. I have some wool gear. Wool is the best material for cold weather. Uh, Kerosene heaters, solar systems like solar power banks, solar generators that run on diesel as well. Let's see. Also, don't go out for long in the winter weather out there. This winter storm that is very possibly, I really do think it is manipulated, manipulated and modified in a way that may not have been done before. This is the worst winter storm in many years for a reason. I do believe it's been modified heavily and intensified. Um, if you are stuck in a vehicle, it's best to run the vehicle as long as you can, just about. It'll stay on the battery for many hours before the battery goes until the weather conditions improve, until it's safe enough. A lot of people could get stuck out in real bad areas in this winter storm. That's what's incredibly dangerous. Is if a vehicle, say, runs out of gas and people get stuck in this winter storm, this heavily modified, I would say, winter storm, Fern, as they call it. Keep on preparing for the World War III situation as the attack on Iran is imminent. It is expected by Wednesday night, I would say, the earliest, that the U.S. will bomb Iran and conduct further operations there. Wednesday night, the earliest. It is even more likely, much more likely, to be Friday night onwards for the invasion on Iran, the operations that will take place there, the new war with Iran that the U.S. and Israel will be fully involved in. We also have the Chinese and Taiwan situation that is still very much a thing. It is taking time, though it is still happening, very much so. The Chinese are just preparing to make their massive move on Taiwan, their massive invasion. They're preparing the invasion force, and they have to do everything right to have even a chance when it comes to Taiwan. Keep on preparing for those situations, especially this winter overall and this winter storm, this heavily modified winter storm. I still recommend buying these precious metals, gold and silver, and other physical assets such as storable foods, freeze dried foods, ammunition, weapons, from high tech to low tech solutions, ammunition, other barter items, since a barter economy is also imminent, it is coming. So keep on preparing. This is the beginning of the year still, very much so, first quarter of the year. I hope to see you all on the next one. Please donate, if you will, to the link in the description of this video, which will be posted to my YouTube channel. Love, light, and blessings to you all. Thanks for watching.